In a small, peaceful town surrounded by green hills and tall trees, lived two boys named Sam and Jake. Sam was a cheerful boy with brown hair that curled at the ends and bright green eyes that sparkled with curiosity. Jake, on the other hand, had straight black hair that he always kept neat and blue eyes that seemed to reflect the sky. They had been best friends for as long as anyone could remember. Their parents often joked that they were like brothers, always together, sharing everything. Sam and Jake lived in houses right next to each other. Every morning, Sam would knock on Jake's door, and they would walk to school together. The road to school was a pleasant one, with trees lining the path and birds singing in the branches. The boys loved these walks. They would talk about their dreams, their favorite superheroes, and the adventures they hoped to have one day. At school, Sam and Jake were inseparable. They sat next to each other in class, shared their snacks during lunch, and worked together on every project. While Sam was good at drawing, Jake was great at solving puzzles. They made the perfect team. When they finished their work early, they would make up games to play, like trying to guess what their teacher would say next or how many times the classroom door would open. One day during recess, the boys noticed a group of older kids playing soccer. Sam and Jake loved soccer, but they were a little nervous about joining the game. The older kids were bigger, faster, and much more skilled. "Do you think they'll let us play?" Sam asked, biting his lip. Jake shrugged, but with a hopeful look in his eyes, he said, "Let's ask. The worst they can say is no." The two friends approached the group, feeling a bit shy. "Can we play with you?" Jake asked politely. One of the older boys, who was tall with a serious face, looked them up and down. "You guys are too small," he said. "You won't be able to keep up." Sam's heart sank. He had always been smaller than the other kids his age, and this wasn't the first time he had been left out because of it. But before Sam could say anything, Jake spoke up. "Maybe we're not as big or as fast as you," Jake said, "but we're really good at playing together. Just give us a chance." The older boy seemed to think about it for a moment, but in the end, he just shook his head. "Sorry, maybe some other time," he said, and turned back to the game. Sam and Jake walked away, trying not to let the rejection get them down. "It's okay," Sam said after a while, trying to cheer himself up. "We can still play on our own." Jake nodded. "Yeah, we always have fun when it's just the two of us." They found a quiet corner of the playground and started kicking the ball back and forth. At first, they were both a little quiet, still feeling disappointed. But as they played, they began to smile and laugh, as they always did. Soon, they were making up new rules and challenges, like seeing who could dribble the ball between the swings or score a goal by hitting a specific spot on the wall. Their laughter caught the attention of the other kids, including the group that had turned them away. The older boy who had said they couldn't play noticed how much fun Sam and Jake were having. He walked over, followed by the rest of the group. "Hey," he called out, "can we join you?" Sam and Jake exchanged surprised looks but then grinned. "Sure," they said at the same time. The game that followed was one of the best they had ever played. Everyone took turns making up new rules, and soon the playground was filled with laughter and shouts of joy. Sam, who had worried about being too small, found that his quickness helped him dodge past bigger players, and Jake, who wasn't the fastest runner, amazed everyone with his clever passes and smart plays. By the end of recess, everyone agreed that Sam and Jake's game was way more fun than the usual soccer match. From that day on, they were always included in the games, and the playground became a place where everyone, no matter their size or skill, could join in and have fun. As the seasons changed, so did the adventures of Sam and Jake. In the fall, they loved to jump into piles of leaves, making the crisp, orange and brown leaves fly into the air. They pretended they were explorers, searching for hidden treasure in the woods behind their houses. In the winter, when the first snowflakes fell, Sam and Jake would run outside, bundled up in warm coats and scarves, ready to build the biggest snowman the town had ever seen. One winter day, after a heavy snowfall, Sam and Jake decided to build a snow fort. It was going to be huge, with walls high enough to hide behind during snowball fights. They spent hours rolling snow into big balls, stacking them carefully to make sure the walls were strong. By the time they were done, they had built a fort so big that they could both fit inside comfortably. "This is the best snow fort ever," Sam exclaimed, his cheeks red from the cold but his eyes shining with excitement. "Yeah, no one can beat us now," Jake agreed, grabbing a handful of snow and shaping it into a perfect snowball. Just then, a group of kids from the neighborhood came over. "Wow, that's an awesome fort," one of them said. "Can we play too?" Sam and Jake looked at each other and smiled. They could have said no, they had worked hard on the fort, after all, but they knew it would be more fun with everyone involved. "Of course," they said together. And so, they spent the rest of the day having the biggest snowball fight ever. There were no teams, just everyone playing and laughing, hiding behind the fort's walls, and dodging snowballs. By the time the sun began to set, the fort was still standing strong, a symbol of their friendship and the fun they had shared. As the years passed, Sam and Jake's friendship only grew stronger. They entered middle school, where they had to navigate new challenges, like more homework, tougher classes, and meeting new people. But no matter what, they always made time for each other. Whether it was playing soccer, working on school projects, or just hanging out, they were always there for each other. One day, when they were in middle school, Jake noticed that Sam wasn't his usual cheerful self. Sam seemed quieter, and he wasn't laughing as much as he used to. Jake, who knew his friend better than anyone, decided to ask what was wrong. "Sam, is everything okay?" Jake asked one afternoon as they were sitting on the swings at the park. Sam sighed and kicked at the dirt. "I don't know, Jake. It's just, school is getting really hard, and I feel like I'm falling behind. Everyone else seems to understand the math problems, but I just don't get it. I'm afraid I'm going to fail." Jake thought for a moment, then smiled. "Sam, you're not alone. I've been struggling with math too. But you know what? We can help each other, just like we always do." Sam looked up, feeling a bit better. "Really? You think we can figure it out together?" "I know we can," Jake said confidently. "Let's start a study group. We can ask Mrs. Thompson for extra help and work on the problems together. It'll be fun, like solving a big puzzle." And that's exactly what they did. Every day after school, Sam and Jake would meet at the library to study. At first, it was tough, and they still found some of the problems confusing. But with Mrs. Thompson's help and their determination, they slowly started to improve. They even found ways to make studying fun, like turning math problems into games or coming up with silly rhymes to remember formulas. By the time the next math test came around, Sam and Jake were ready. They took the test, feeling nervous but also confident in what they had learned. When they got their results back, they were both thrilled to see that their hard work had paid off. Sam had passed with flying colors, and so had Jake. "I couldn't have done it without you," Sam said, grinning from ear to ear. "Me neither," Jake replied. "That's what best friends are for." As they continued to grow, Sam and Jake faced more challenges, but they always knew they could count on each other. In high school, they had different classes and made new friends, but their bond remained strong. They still met up every weekend to play soccer, watch movies, or just talk about their lives. One summer, when they were both 16, Sam and Jake decided to take a big step in their friendship. They had always talked about going on an adventure together, and now that they were older, they finally had the chance. They saved up their money from part-time jobs and planned a camping trip to the nearby mountains. The day of the trip, they packed their backpacks with everything they needed: a tent, sleeping bags, food, water, and a map. Sam's dad drove them to the edge of the forest, where the trail began. "Are you sure you boys will be okay?" Sam's dad asked, a little worried. "Don't worry, Dad," Sam said with a grin. "We've got this. We've been planning this for months." Jake nodded in agreement. "We'll be fine, Mr. Johnson. We'll stick to the trail and be back by Sunday." With a final wave, Sam's dad drove off, leaving the two friends at the start of their adventure. They looked at each other, both excited and a little nervous. "Ready?" Sam asked. "Ready," Jake replied. They started down the trail, the forest around them alive with the sounds of birds chirping and leaves rustling in the breeze. The hike was tough, but Sam and Jake encouraged each other to keep going. They took breaks to eat sandwiches and drink water, laughing and joking along the way. When they finally reached the campsite, it was late afternoon. The sun was beginning to set, casting a golden glow over the trees. Sam and Jake worked together to set up the tent, which took a few tries but eventually stood firm. After setting up camp, they sat by the fire, roasting marshmallows and telling stories. The stars began to appear in the sky, and soon, the whole forest was bathed in the soft light of the moon. It was a perfect night, one they would remember for the rest of their lives. But the adventure wasn't over yet. The next day, Sam and Jake decided to explore a bit more. They followed a small stream that led them to a beautiful waterfall. The water cascaded down the rocks, creating a pool that shimmered in the sunlight. "This is amazing!" Sam exclaimed, standing at the edge of the pool. "I've never seen anything like it," Jake agreed. They spent the day swimming in the cool water, climbing the rocks, and taking in the beauty of nature. It was the adventure they had always dreamed of, and they were living it together. When the trip was over, Sam and Jake returned home, tired but happy. They had faced challenges, seen incredible sights, and made memories that would last a lifetime. But most importantly, they had done it all together, proving once again that they were more than just friends, they were like brothers. As the years went by, Sam and Jake continued to grow and change, but their friendship remained a constant in their lives. They graduated from high school, went to different colleges, and even started their own families. But no matter where life took them, they always made time for each other. When Sam got married, Jake was his best man, standing by his side as he said his vows. And when Jake's first child was born, Sam was there at the hospital, holding the baby and feeling like the luckiest uncle in the world. Even in the toughest times, like when Jake's mom passed away, Sam was there to support his friend. He stayed by Jake's side, offering a shoulder to cry on and reminding him that he was never alone. "Thank you for always being there for me, Sam," Jake said one night, after everyone had gone home. "I don't know what I'd do without you." "You do the same for me," Sam replied, giving Jake a comforting hug. "That's what best friends are for." And so, Sam and Jake's story continued, a tale of true friendship that stood the test of time. They grew older, wiser, and maybe a little grayer, but they never stopped being the best of friends. As they sat on the porch of their childhood homes one summer evening, watching the sunset and reminiscing about their adventures, Sam turned to Jake and said, "You know, we've had a pretty amazing life." Jake smiled and nodded. "We sure have, Sam. And the best part is, we've done it all together."